Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afker, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of Your Divine Uniqueness. So, very happy to connect with you live or on replay, and also very, very excited and very happy that Sarah Ellingworth is back on the show. I always feel excited when she joins us. I really love her work, the message she brings, and also the powerful healing and clearance that she performs and share with us on the show, whether on the show or if you worked with her one-on-one or on her groups. And also I really feel the authenticity and how she shares from her heart, and also the depth of the message, because she really gives us a much deeper understanding about the energetic realm and how things are working, and also it's more empowering, because many times we can be triggered, or we have fear toward how we are affected by those energies. But the way she approached that, she really reminds us of our true power, our sovereignty, and that in the end it's our choice how we can manage our energies. So yeah, very happy that she's here with us today. And for those of you who are new to her, she is a master energy practitioner of the healing arts, intuitive healer, and shadow worker. And she does shadow work. And the subject today is energy alchemy, the interplay of clearing, healing, and karma. So yeah, she will be sharing with us the difference between energy clearing and energy healing, and what is the role of each one of them, and how they really like this understanding can help us to understand our spiritual journey and really experience more deeper expansions and transformation. So yeah, it will be a very powerful call. And also she will guide us on a powerful activity that can help us to weave together the energy clearing, healing, and karmic growth into personal transformative experience. So stay tuned for that. And also we'll have a Q&A where you can ask Sarah your questions. So if you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand by pressing reactions, then raise hand. If you are on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9, and also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And yeah, so with that, Sarah, welcome back to the show. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And yeah, super excited for today's call, talking about clearing and healing and the role that karma plays. And what I find really interesting is that I've had a few clients recently, just in the lead up to this podcast, where those specific things were really coming forward for discussion, particularly around karma. And what really prompted me to want to do this was to really help people understand what this process is all about, because I've done this myself, particularly early on, quite a lot, where I would get really frustrated with my healing journey, particularly if I was like, I've already done this. Why am I here again? And I'm really hoping that today's podcast can shed some light on what that process really is and how all of these pieces come together and what we can do to support ourselves moving through that process. So when we do it with a bit more understanding, we can lean into it, we can actually get more out of it, we can show up in a different way, we can learn to have more compassion for ourselves through our healing and clearing and spiritual journey. So that was the reason for today's podcast. And then I checked with Divine, because I was like, oh, can we do some fun stuff? And they were like, this is what we're doing. And I was like, okay. So one of the things I wanted to start with was sharing a bit about my journey and how this started for me. Because my beginning of this is a little bit different, in the sense that I had no desire. I think I've made it pretty known. I had no desire to do this for anyone other than myself, because I became very committed to my own healing journey. And that was because I just wanted to create change in my life because I was so unhappy with my life. It just was, again, I was like that square peg in a round hole. I didn't have anything, I didn't have physical illnesses to be dealing with. I was just battling with myself, basically, and not being really content with life or how I was showing up or what I was experiencing. So I actually went through a good solid 5 years of just learning about myself, doing the healing and the clearing piece, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail. But yeah, I just committed to my own healing journey before I even looked at learning a course or learning modality. And my intention behind learning those modalities was always to deepen my own experience in my healing. And I think what fueled that was my spiritual awakening and opening up to this new realm of existence. I was learning more about myself in that way and having very tangible experiences that validated that there really was more to me and life beyond what I had previously known. So here I am today. I've done just a ridiculous amount of courses and different modalities and healings, and I've been very blessed to have had some phenomenal teachers and mentors along the way. And so yeah, now working with clients, and I have a lot of compassion for everyone who gets very frustrated on this journey because I get it. I've been there myself. When we repeat an issue or we repeat a lesson and we're like, I dealt with this. I dealt with this. So why is this coming up again? And there can be lots of reasons for that. And so this is where the clearing piece and the healing piece really come to the forefront. So clearing and energy clearing, which is different to talk therapy. It's in its own category. And also too, there's lots of different modalities. And even with all of my dabbling and learning, the ultimate thing that I could see through all of it was that it's basically the same thing, just using a different approach, different technique, a different style, but you are shifting energy out of the physical body, you are shifting energy out of the emotional body or the mental body. You're moving, transmuting, neutralizing, changing energy within our auric field, within all layers of our being to create change, to become in a more harmonious state, to clear and create space for us to make a different choice, to create more positive changes. So that being said, energy clearing is, like I just mentioned, applying different techniques. You can use light therapy. There's light techniques. There's galactic therapies. There's all different styles, techniques, advancements that we can use now that are very effective, very quick. The technology of energy clearing has actually come a long way. Not that that can be validated by any scientific measure, but I sort of compare it to when you look at Reiki. Like I love Reiki. Reiki was my beginning. I became a Reiki master, and Reiki is just the best. I truly love it. But that's I think over 100 years old now since that was first channeled by Mikao Usui, and that was an ancient teaching as well. So he's brought into the modern day era, even though that was like 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago now. So the particularly with galactic influences, we now have different types of technology and techniques that we can apply in conjunction with divine healing. I do want to note that there is a difference between clearing techniques and divine healing, because divine healing has its own consciousness. And this is what makes Reiki so amazing, because Reiki is channeling divine healing. But there's still techniques and things we can apply to help channel that energy. But ultimately, divine healing is having its own consciousness and going into the being to restore balance, to shift, to create change, to harmonize. So with some of these more modern techniques now, or modern modalities that we have available that are being channeled through to human consciousness, we can combine those techniques with the divine healing, and that's actually what gives it the superpower. So even when I'm doing my work, for me, it's always been like I'm like a conductor. I'm the person that does this, and we all work together. But the magic is actually with the participant, the recipient, and divinity and the team. It's actually a team effort where we all come together and do our piece to the exchange. So with the clearing techniques, we are removing the frequencies, like the emotional frequencies. We are removing or clearing or disintegrating thought forms or interferences such as implants or entities, or it can be the energy of your loved ones, or it can be the energy of past overbeings. So there's lots of interferences, there's lots of influences, like energy just permeates through our whole being. You can go to the supermarket and get swamped by the energy that you're walking into. They can be a bit of a cesspit for lower vibrational energy. So if you're an empath and you haven't, really strengthened your energy or your boundaries, you go in and you come out feeling pretty grumpy. Or as an example, someone comes, your partner comes home from work and they've had a rough day and they're, thrashing about, and then all of a sudden you're responding in the same thrashing about, because your energy is getting transferred between the two of you. So we're removing those interferences, we're removing those frequencies, influences from your energy body, from all layers of your being, and that includes the physical and the mental and emotional and the spiritual. So that's the clearing piece. The clearing piece is pretty straightforward. Like, you can do a lot in one session with just using clearing techniques. I had a phenomenal spiritual mentor who gave the analogy of this exact example. Like, when you are just doing the clearing piece and you are not actually leaning into your healing, what you end up doing. So she was talking to us as practitioners. She was like, you're just changing their diaper. They go off, they live life, they don't learn their lessons, they don't change their behavior. They go off and get really uncomfortable in how they're feeling because of their behavior. And they come back to you and go, I'm feeling crap. Fix me, heal me. And so you do the clearing and they feel better and they're like, oh, great. And then off they go. And then they repeat all of those habits and patterns and behaviors again. So this is where the healing piece becomes really important. And this is the piece that the large portion of responsibility falls on the recipient or the person who's showing up for the healing. So the healing part is where we are learning from the lesson. We are connecting into what's getting triggered within us. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Why is this coming up? If I am having a strong feeling, why is it so strong? And taking responsibility for our feelings to follow that thread of what's within us that's coming up, to be learned, understood, healed, acknowledged. And this is where the shadow work comes in. So again, you can use a practitioner, not just for the healing, or not just for the clearing piece, but this is where, for me in particular, I do a lot of mentoring through my sessions, because I am guiding you to show up for yourself in your session, to lean into the healing so that you can come out on the other side of it more thoroughly, with a deeper understanding of why you've gone through what you've gone through. What was it within you that created that experience in the first place? So before, when I was mentioning, we can get really frustrated when we revisit an issue that we thought we'd done that. We did that. We leaned into it. We paid attention to the lessons. Why is this coming up again? So this is where karma can then have a place in the piece. So this is where your karmic lessons for this lifetime, it's like an imprint. Your soul has chosen this to learn through. Now, it's like if you're in the center of the circle, there's a circle around you here, and you're in the center, this is your soul, and you're going through life channeling, like you're going around and around and around, and you hit an issue, and it's a big issue. and you work through it, you lean into it, you do all the things, and you're like, oh wow, that was tough. Let's keep going. You go off and you go up a level, you go a little bit higher, and then you come around to the same spot again and you hit another issue and you're like, I've dealt with this. So you were dealing with the same soul lesson, you were dealing with the same karmic imprint of whatever your soul has chosen, but you have actually elevated. So it won't be as severe, or it will be the same lessons but in a different context. So you were leaning into the lesson in a deeper way. So that is one aspect of when we have to repeat a lesson. The other part is it's going to keep presenting until we are very, very thorough in our healing of whatever that is that's getting triggered. So again, this is where we'll talk in a minute about neutralizing karma, what we can do to go more thoroughly into the lesson. But part of that is the forgiveness and the compassion. They're also just as important as the lesson itself. So just check. Did you have anything you wanted to? I feel like I go off on a bit of a rant, and then I'm like, bring one step
No,
back into the.
but that was yeah. I really loved what you shared because I never saw it that way. I didn't really connect like all the three parts, clearing, healing, and karma. And with what you shared, it really makes sense why things can repeat. And even though if we did clearing or healings around it, so yeah, I found this very very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that.
That's okay. So with because karmic can be bigger than just learning through a lesson. So as an example, um, let's say you have a dynamic with a parent that then gets presented through other relationships, and it doesn't have to be the same sex, it can be different sexes. There's usually a theme through that imprint, that lesson. And let's say you've got unhealed aspects with a parent over here, and you keep attracting a boss over here that is same but different. I want to say. So, we've got this situation over here with the parent, and let's just say we don't talk to that parent anymore. We've gotten rid of boundaries. You don't get to treat me like that. But that doesn't actually mean you've let go of the hurt, the pain. You haven't learned from the lesson. You haven't healed that karmic relationship. So you've just put down a stop hold there. Nope, you don't get to do that to me. Cool. Okay, that's great. Good, it is good. Boundaries. But then over here, we're doing life and we keep coming up against bosses that are real assholes or very disrespectful or whatever the issue is. So unless we take the time to look at what's getting triggered in the relationship with the triggering boss, that's the thread that will allow us to go back to the original for this lifetime. Now, that person, the parent is, let's say, the perceived perpetrator for this lifetime. They're not the originals. They're just the pawn that we've used. They're the person who has agreed karmically to show up for us. We've incarnated through them for the lessons that they can offer. Now, we didn't pay attention to that lesson. We just closed the door on it so it couldn't hurt us anymore. But we still hold the imprint of that lesson within here, karmically and on a soul level. So we're going to keep manifesting it over here in other relationships until we get to the core of whatever it is we are holding about ourselves. So it's never actually about the other people. It's always about us and how we are showing up within ourselves, within life. So the other thing I wanted to add with, I think we had a comment there. I'm just gonna, oh, it's gone. The other piece with karma is that it can get triggered. Like you may, on a soul level, you're like, okay, well, I'll flip that switch at about 30. So you're happily going about life, and then you hit 30, and something, catastrophic happens, and it turns your life upside down. So there's certain things like karma doesn't have to be, karma will never make sense, by the way. Karma is built over a very long period of time. And it comes in when the soul's like, okay, now we're ready to do this. And the whole purpose of this picture is for the soul to be able to pierce through the ego, to be able to pierce through the material world and have control. It's not about control, it's actually expression. It's learning through the soul expression to be in its wholeness, in its oneness, in its truth. And all of the messiness that that entails. Whereas from a human's perspective, we want logic, we want to understand, we want to know the ins and outs, we want to know the why. We do want to have control because control makes us feel safe. So it's in real conflict with what the soul wants. The soul's hardcore. The soul will be like, wow, that was radical. Let's do it again, but 10 times harder. So the soul is like, it knows no bounds. It really just wants to grow and learn, and it's hardcore. I'm telling you, our souls are hardcore. They're like, let's just get in and F it all up. So just to pierce through the ego, just to make it even more interesting. It's just interesting. Our mind, our ego is the one that perceives it as suffering. But the harder the suffering and the deeper the growth and the harder it is, actually, the more the soul loves it. And that's what we've signed up for. So when we go back to that, learning through compassion, self-love, forgiveness, that's where we need to come out of the right and wrong of what we're learning, the right and wrong of the perpetrator and the victim, so that we can actually just get on with the lesson. And the more we can lean into that, the faster we can actually move through it. Now, it's not a race. It's not actually about how fast we can get through. But if you want to come out of suffering, or you know, you're in a tight spot physically, you've got illnesses going on, finances might be down the toilet, you can't get a job, your marriage is down the toilet, whatever's going on. If you want to fix that, then you lean into it as quickly as possible to pay attention to the lessons so that you can come out of that hardship and back into a space of joy, peace, love, healing, even just moving on from the pain. So yeah, the karmic lessons can present in our finances, karmic lessons can present through our health. With health, because actually I've had a few clients recently who've come up with one, that the situation isn't resolved, or they thought they fixed it and it's come back again. And also nothing's working. Nothing's working. I'm getting all the healings under the sun and nothing's working. Then that is really triggering that you are not, this might trigger some people, but you're not entitled, you're not karmically entitled to receive the benefits of those healings yet, because you haven't actually learned the lesson. So what is your illness teaching you? Why, how, what is it? How are you feeling with this illness? Where has this come from? Now, very often with physical illnesses, it's not always from this lifetime, but you will have triggers in this lifetime that will be the breadcrumbs. So this is where a practitioner is actually super helpful, because then you can go down the path of past life healing to find the root, or the cause of what you're experiencing, and heal it on a deeper level, and then keep doing the work. It's not just a one and done, like it's particularly with karma. You need to generate that karmic entitlement. And that's when we'll start talking about the neutralizing of karma. So karma can play a big role in how much we are willing to receive, or allowing ourselves to receive through the healing exchange. I know for myself, actually, a long time, it was like, again, early days, I had a session with a shaman, and he was beautiful. He was an amazing man, but he was like, you're actually not receiving all of the energy. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not receiving? I'm paying a fortune. I want to receive it all. And he's like, it's not me. He's like, you are not allowing yourself. He's like, you're only receiving like 30% of what's given to you. And the rest was just sitting in my energy. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. So that was me stopping myself from receiving the clearing for whatever reason. So I had to really quickly get on top of that one, because I loved getting healings and I loved how it felt, and I loved the shifts and the changes and all the things that it brought. So I had to really deep dive into what I was resisting, what was I denying myself. And this, even the self-hate piece, that is when we hate ourselves, and that is not a logical thing, and that is not what a lot of people want to admit about themselves. But we all have it. We actually all have it to some degree. This is the thing, unless we do the shadow work and find it, we can't transmute it and let it go. And so then, and quite often, I'm just on a fishing expedition within myself. What are we going to find? Let's find out. And off we go. And then I'm like, oh, what is this? And we just, it's like a thread. You find a thread and you pull it and you go down the rabbit hole of whatever that is. And it's fascinating what you find out about yourself, or all the ways where you've been hurting yourself, denying yourself, limiting yourself. This is the thing. We're all limiting ourselves in some capacity. We are divine beings. We are magical divine beings. We are capable of so much. But we are the only things that limit ourselves in this lifetime to experiencing what we really want to receive, experience, do, explore, whatever it is. So giving ourselves permission to really explore the shadow aspects, to open up ourselves to receive more, to show up more, and have that more thorough healing, the clearing, and to move through the lessons more deeply so that we can actually get some sustained change and traction in that healing growth and this soul's spiritual evolution. So yeah, I wanted to share a little bit about how we neutralize karma. So this is also probably going to be a little bit triggering. And then I would really love to get into the activity. I'm super excited to do this activity that really brings in all of these pieces. We're going to do some clearing, we're going to do some healing, and we're going to bring in some karmic work. And everyone gets to participate within themselves on something that they're working on or something that they're dealing with internally. So how do we neutralize karma? So there's neutralizing karma actually, but there's also building up your good karma, which sort of acts as a bit of an insurance policy. So when you generate good karma, it will protect you. It, again, is like an insurance policy. So when shit hits the fan or something goes wrong, it's not as bumpy of a ride. You are taken care of. Your luck is amazing. Things just appear. Like your good karma actually generates a very positive result in the face of adversity. So both these examples that I give you for neutralizing actually also work for generating good karma. And it's, you know, behind it, our intention is highly, highly important. So you can choose if you want to consecrate your energy to neutralize your negative karma, or you can use your good deeds or what we're about to go through to generate good karma and actually command how you would like that to come back to you in your life. So neutralizing negative karma, the first thing with karma is always going to be, what's the lesson? What am I learning here? What is it about myself, life, my soul, experiences? It could be anything, but what am I learning generally about myself through this experience? And that can be learning about how you show up with others. So there's been people, clients, and I see it everywhere. There is, and actually you can do some really beautiful research through numerology on karmic relationships. So there's certain karmic numbers. I found this fascinating. I'm not a specialist, just sort of confirmed what I was seeing, where there's certain relationship numbers for, what was the number? I think 10. 10 is a number, and I want to say 12 maybe. No, definitely 10 is a karmic number for relationships. And I think one of them was abuse of love. Abuse of love, and there's abuse of power, and you can actually find that through the relationships when you look at the numerology. So if you're interested in that, by all means, go and do some research. I thought it was really fascinating. But yes, there are certain relationships that can come into your life that you've agreed to work through that negative karma. So we'll use that as an example. So in this particular relationship where there is abuse of love, what you would be questioning yourself on, What are you learning about yourself? What are you learning about relationships? What are you learning about how you are contributing to the relationship? How are you showing up? What are you doing to contribute to this exchange? Because it's not just about, you're not a victim. You're not a victim. You're a receiver of what you have agreed to learn through in this incarnation on this planet of duality. So there's like, it's a promise, it's going to be hard because we are a planet of duality. If you wanted something that was a little bit more gentler, then you can choose that for the next incarnation on planet X. There are plenty of places we can go to move and grow in a more harmonious environment. It's very beautiful, nice little holiday. But the growth is much slower. Whereas we come to Earth School, Planet of Hard Knocks, for accelerated learning, and that's where karma can serve us. So I do want to say karma is not a dirty word, actually. I feel like there's a lot of negative connotations around karma. And it's used in a negative way. Oh, karma's going to bite them on the ass. Well, karma's going to get everybody. Karma's just whatever you've put out, you're going to receive. That is literally all it is. It's just cause and effect. It's a basic natural law. So learning about the lesson and the lesson from all different perspectives. How are you showing up? How are you benefiting from this? And that's a really big one when we do shadow work. How are you gaining? How are you learning? How are you receiving from the hardship, from the suffering, from the pain? Because you are receiving. So how is it serving you in your growth? So paying attention to the lesson. The other thing we can do as a form of neutralizing negative karma is learning through the law of mercy. So this is where we learn compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. So this is a really also a big piece for coming out of the judgment for the learning, coming out of the right and wrongness, and having compassion for the hardship, having compassion for the learning, having compassion for the wounding. So when we can do that for ourselves, we actually can extend it more for others. And I think that actually, for a lot of people, they think they've got more compassion for others than they do themselves. But you're actually just projecting. That's just projecting. So that is a beautiful mirror for us to look at in what we think we are seeing. When you truly have more compassion for yourself and self-love here first, you actually grow, your energy grows, your compassion grows, your gentleness grows. How much you can give to others actually grows, and you become stronger in that experience. So you do have more. The illusion that you have more for others than you do yourself, it is an illusion. It's not, it's a projection. So learning through the law of mercy, and then we have tithing. So tithing is a very old practice, and tithing is where you are donating money. And this again is, so you can donate time or you can donate money. So service and tithing. And this is one of the two, well, these are actually two of the most potent, effective, that if you really want to get behind neutralizing your karma, do these two things. So tithing is donating money. Now, if you are specifically wanting to shift, like if you've got Lyme disease, let's say, and it is not moving and nothing you do will heal it, is lingering, it is sticking around, no healing, no medicine is working, then one of the first things I would recommend is to actually start to tithe to an organization that supports Lyme disease, the research of Lyme disease, supporting people with Lyme disease, because you want to generate the good karma. You want to give to the people in the way that you want to receive. Does that make sense? So it's because I know there'll be a lot of people like, oh, I give to charity and I give to the homeless and I give to the children's appeal. I'm like, okay, well, you'll always have a house. Always have a roof over your head and your children will be great. If you're consecrating if you're doing it correctly. So, and when I say correctly, I mean, you are really doing it with intention to receive, and you're commanding where that energy is then funneled into your life. It is your life. You absolutely can do that. You should be doing that to really help hone in that energy. That's your energy to do what you want. So it's almost like you don't want to just be giving money away. So think really carefully about who you want to support, who you want to give money to, who you are investing your energy to, and how you want to receive. And so then when I say consecrate, you command, may that energy, that good karma that is generated through this donation return to me and my health tenfold. And you do that repeatedly. That's not a one-off. You do that repeatedly. If you just want to build your bank account, then you can do this too. This is actually another insurance policy way of ensuring that you're always taken care of financially. So find an organization that is aligned to you in the way you want to give and how you would like to receive. So there's the tithing piece, and then there's the service. Now, I do recommend to a lot of people who financially can't afford to donate their time, because that is your next valuable asset that's recognized on this planet, is money and time. So, and this works a treat. It is almost guaranteed. Well, it is, it's guaranteed. Anyone who's looking for work, I say to them, go and volunteer somewhere and command your energy, the good karma that you have generated from this charitable exchange, from your service, command that come back to you in the form of a job, and then you get specific in your details. So because you are generating good energy, you are generating good karma. It works every single time. So this again is where, as an example, again, you've got Lyme. I don't know why I'm picking on Lyme disease. It must be somebody out there with Lyme disease who needs to hear this. You've got Lyme disease. I know I've had clients with it. It's a very difficult one to work through. You don't have the money. You're not working at the moment because of your illness, and you don't have the extra funds. I would say even $5, if you can do $5, that is something. But if you can't do that, then your time is the next valuable thing. So go and help where you can. And if that isn't physically going out, then that might be service that you do at home, or some admin work that you do for someone or an organization. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the act of your service. And then again, you command the good energy, the good karma that's been generated through this service, may it be returned to me tenfold, to my health and the improvement of my health. And you just settle up. You just settle up, you get on with it, you just do it, and you maintain your routines, you maintain your practices, you lean into your healing and learning about the lessons that this illness, how it is serving you, and what are you gaining from this experience. So these are things you can do to neutralize your karma. The other piece is raising your vibration. So we can do that through purification. You've got the inner purification. So this is where we are doing some self-reflection work, the self-forgiveness, the self-healing, the clearing. We're doing clearing, we're eating cleanly. I would suggest, again, I'm just going to go to the Lyme disease. If you are struggling with Lyme disease, of course, you're going to work with a dietitian or whoever's going to help you with your food. But energetically and karmically, I would say stay away from meat, because again, it's the violence and the act of killing in order to receive. Now, that can also be a beautiful thing. I'm not completely dismissing that. But in the sacrifice, I mean, for the food and the nourishment of humanity. But energetically, it would be an idea to stay away from meats in order to really clean and purify your energy, even going vegetarian or pescatarian. It's just cleaning up that frequency. The act of non-violence. So this is a really interesting one, because most people are going to be like, well, I'm not a violent person. I don't bash anyone up. I don't kill anyone. I'm like, no. But when you're having a tantrum, when you're having some very strong feelings, let's say you've had a fight with your partner, you come home and you start to unpack the dishwasher and you're slamming the forks into the drawer and you're closing, you're smashing the cupboards and you're throwing the plates in because you're really angry. That's actually all acts of violence. That behavior is an expression of anger on the objects that you're manhandling. I have a really interesting story. My mum had a lot of anger. She still does have a lot, but it's just simmered as she's gotten older. And she had to get the washing machine replaced because she had punched a hole pushing the button so hard on the on-off button of the washing machine. And she was like, oh, bloody washing machine, it's broken again. The thing is just worn away completely. I'm like, Mum, how hard are you pushing the button? And she's like, it's not me. I'm like, clearly it is. You are pushing this button so hard. So again, it was like her anger coming out in how hard or forceful she was pushing a button. That's again an expression of aggression that's coming through us. So this is when we become aware of how we're feeling, what we're feeling. We can channel that energy in a more healthy way so that we are not performing acts of violence on our home, on our loved ones, on our belongings, whatever it is. So this is going another level of self-awareness. And again, the inner purification, the learning of the lessons, leaning into the healing. And then there's the development of virtues, which I think one of the biggest ones, again, in neutralizing your karma or generating good karma is the forgiveness. So this is a really hard one for a lot of people who have experienced deep pain or deep suffering at the hands of another being or organization or whatever. We've all had those experiences. But the truth is, we've actually all been the perceived victim and we've also been the perceived perpetrator. So I know I've shared that in a previous podcast episode. So this is where we need to lean into the concept of forgiveness for our own benefit. It is not about condoning what has happened, but it's letting it go for our own sake, for our own healing, so that we can start to let go of the pain and learn the lesson, lean into the lesson so that it can stop. And that's, we're not going to get there. Yeah, 100% forgiveness. That's at the very, well, I'm not going to say the end. That's the pinnacle. And then on the other side of that, what I actually really loved, I don't know if I've shared this here before, when I was doing some explorative work and leaning into the concept of forgiveness, and I had done something that I was learning, I was playing, I was using a technique, but I'd done something that I knew was probably not wonderful. And I was like, oh crap, please forgive me. I shouldn't have done that. And they were like, there's nothing to forgive. I went, what do you mean? Like I just did something like that was not great. And what do you mean there's nothing to forgive? And they're like, there's nothing. So I'm going to abbreviate, but there's nothing to forgive because I learned. I came through, I knew that it wasn't, and I knew I wasn't never going to do it again. I'd learned from that experience. And so their point was, you're learning. You are learning through that experience and you did it. So there's nothing to forgive. So, and then I looked at that from a much bigger perspective. It's like, and I teach this all the time in sessions with clients. It's like, once you get to the point of forgiveness, once you can actually grasp forgiveness and lean into it and forgive, you realize that there's actually nothing to forgive because you've just got gratitude for that experience. You've got gratitude for the learning. You've got gratitude for the hardship or the perceived perpetrator because they served you. They actually gifted you an experience where you learned more about yourself. So instead of going, I forgive you, you're like, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm more evolved. I've elevated. My existence is more whole because I came up against you and I leaned into it and I grew. Thank you. So there's actually nothing to forgive. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I'm highlighting that to give people some perspective around forgiveness because I have met a lot of people. I have them in my family. I've met a lot of clients who just cannot grasp forgiveness. It's too much because the pain is too unbearable. Or in some capacity, they think that that condones or that's letting them off the hook. It's not about that. It's about you and how you're showing up in this lesson. So when we want to neutralize our karma, when we want to lean into and move through those karmic lessons more thoroughly, these are the pieces that need to be incorporated into the healing component, not just the clearing, but the healing component. Sorry, I just went off on another little tangent. Shall we do some of the questions? Sorry, and then we'll go into the if anyone has anything that they wanted to talk about before we do the activity.
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you so much. That was very very powerful what you shared. And yeah, so everyone, if you want to ask your question, you can raise your hand by pressing react, then raise hand, or type your question on the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. So, Mikove, can you please unmute yourself?
Hi, Monse.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking my question. Hi, Sarah.
Hi,
How are
how are you
you?
doing? I'm really
I'm
well, thank you. Thank you for
good.
being here.
Yeah, so really, yeah, thank you so much for uh this informative, and it's not a session, and it's not the first time for me to meet you uh during on oneself's podcast. So thank you very much. So really for me um it's I almost I feel confidently that I am um I've gone I've come a long way. And for me, it's just started by when I couldn't deal with what I've been going through physically.
Mhm,
I went back to forgiveness because
mhm,
that's where I started. And
mhm,
it's when it started, it had nothing to do with what I am going through now. It just
mhm,
started with, deaths in my family, horrible accidents that did not make any sense. And I had already started, um, I'd already I was introduced to forgiveness as a way of dealing with what was happening. But of
mhm,
course, it was, in hindsight, it was really preparing me for something huge. I mean, massive, where physically, I have unexplained pain, but I got to learn where that came from.
mhm,
And it shocked me
mhm,
because it's something that was being done by an ex-boyfriend. I don't
mhm,
want to get into that, but I'm really just saying um, forgiveness has played a huge, huge part in my life. It's amazing actually that when I wake up, it's the first thing I do. When I feel
mhm.
what I feel, it's the first thing I do. Because I
Yes.
learned that um, whoever is doing something to you is you. It's your
Mhm,
reflection. And
mhm,
that took years for me, but now I get it.
mhm,
Because when you go through these hardships, physically, you 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 can't walk, you can't go to the kitchen, you know,
mhm,
you can't get a job, you can't do this, you can't do all those things. So actually, the physical part for me really was the toughest thing.
mhm,
Little did I know that actually it was getting harder because it was playing in my mind. So it's amazing what forgiveness can do. And
yes.
I reached at a stage where I thought, well, I don't need any healing by any energy healer, blah, blah, blah. And I have done a lot, massive, and I'm forever grateful. So really,
Mhm,
I'm just saying forgiveness is important. Energy healing is very important, but energy healing actually has taken me to one of the places where you've mentioned of um, where I realized that actually I may have been the one who was blocking myself from healing.
mhm,
So yeah, I'm just here to say thank you very much. Um, I just continue this journey. It's really hard. I keep thinking that
mhm.
I'll never come across any kind of a forgiveness lesson than this. But I'm waiting. But nonetheless, while I'm waiting, I'm also doing the work. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Sarah.
beautiful,
Thank you, Monster.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I think what you highlight there also too is, I mean, when we're talking about karmic, like, oh, oops, the daisy sort of experience, it's crippling, get you on your hands and knees begging for mercy type, and it
Oh
can be
my God, it is
long
crippling.
and painful.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's doing that, like your soul is doing that on purpose. You have
Hmm.
chosen
Hmm.
this to break through the barriers, break through the resistance, break through the ego, break through all of the the constructs that are
Mhm.
illusions around the truth of who we are, to literally, break you open and
Right.
learn, more of your true self. And we're very resilient. Our egos are very resilient, and their job is to protect us, and it will to the death. So this is
Yeah,
where
that's
the
right.
more,
Yeah, and Sarah, just this one thing,
yep,
something that I've also learned is to really understand that, realize no, and understand that you're safe. Oh my
mm,
God, I cannot believe this. We are safe. It can be
yes,
scary, but if we do our work, if we work on ourselves, and the more you work on these things, the more something comes up. And
yeah,
you're like, oh, what is that now? But
mhm,
also understanding that you are safe. I am safe. I know that
yes,
for sure.
amazing,
Yeah.
well done.
And
And
that
I've done a
really
whole
is
range.
important. Yeah.
Yes. I've done a whole range of meditations around the subliminals and the meditations on I am safe, because that is
Hmm.
one of the pieces that keeps us feeling stuck or in
Right.
fear around our
Hmm.
truth.
Hmm.
And we didn't make that up either. Like, we have had lots and lots of incarnations where we weren't safe, or we were killed for
Hmm.
lots of different reasons. But that's not now. Now is the opportunity to lean into the healing. Now we are safe, and we are safe
Right.
to survive. So
That's right.
it takes a lot of work to really coax all aspects of ourselves into that feeling, into that vibration of I am safe. I give
Hmm.
myself permission to thrive. I give myself permission to heal. The only limitation we have is ourselves. So again, this is where the soul's like trying to crack through all of the limitations. And if we're not paying attention, or, we've shown up in ways that has generated the karma that we have then agreed to experience for this lifetime, then that's what it is. I also too wanted to share as well, I will get to Tatiana in a second, but I wanted to share um there's a teaching around karma and the queue of souls that are waiting to incarnate into a disabled body, or a physically impaired or impaired in any type of way body, to neutralize their negative karma, because they, for one incarnation in a disabled or impaired body, they actually can clear out, it's neutralizing their karma of like 10 lifetimes worth of negative karma. So we actually have a lot of beings who are waiting to incarnate into an impaired body for that purpose. Now, that's not a negative thing. Again, our human mind goes, why would anyone choose that type of suffering? That's ridiculous. Actually, they're actually being of service. So this is the thing, when we have people who incarnate through impairments, physical impairments, disabilities, they're actually showing up in service to all of the people around them. But it's our human consciousness that projects onto that person of, oh, they're not they're going to miss out on this, or they're not going to be able to do that, or they don't have the capacity or functionality to do this. They're not missing out on anything. They've chosen to come in here for a very specific purpose, to neutralize their karma, but to serve all of the beings around them. So it's a real it's a bit of again, it's another illusion that's very difficult for the human mind or the human consciousness to really get their head around how that dynamic works. But that's another karmic aspect, another way of, I don't know, it's a bit hardcore, but our souls are hardcore, so it's pretty amazing. um, to exercise our love to one another. Yeah, absolutely. We have so much to learn from people who choose to incarnate in through disabled bodies, and feeling sorry for them or pitying them, thinking that they're less than in any way, shape, or form, is just not accurate. It's just not accurate. And yeah, it's a beautiful gift that it's an act of service for that incarnation. Tatiana, I think you had.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, Sarah. Hello, Monse.
Hi,
Hello.
Tatiana. Hello.
Great to see you again. I have a question about karma also. In many lifetimes, I have taken karma of other people, and it's a huge burden.
Mhm.
I would love to release it, but don't know how.
Oh, boundaries. Your soul's learning boundaries. Interesting. So you've taken on other people's karma. In what way? What do you mean?
It was a form of self-sacrifice. I was
Yeah.
taking on the pain, the suffering,
Yeah.
just to help them. It was
Mhm.
just a form of self-sacrifice, and I have
Yes.
no idea how to stop it.
Yeah. I've met other clients with the same sort of thing, self-sacrifice. It's a killer. Leaning into the shadow work. I think there's usually a bit of savior complex in there as well. So it's entitling you to think that you can help these people, whereas that's actually, it's not your responsibility. You're taking away these other beings' opportunity to lean into their own learning, healing, and growth, by enabling and taking on their pain, their suffering. There's been lots of times, and I know I've done it myself, where we have sacrificed our life for other beings, for organizations, for whatever. We do all sorts of crazy things. But it's looking at the bigger picture. It's going in that respect, you really are wanting to look for the higher learning. I would definitely be looking at the savior complex and the self-sacrifice. There's a lot of clearing techniques we can use to actually remove those frequencies, but unless you lean into the what's yours and what's mine, you're just going to keep recreating that pattern. So, and it's like getting really clear in your no, in your boundaries. No, that is yours. No, this is mine. And coming out of the concept again that suffering is bad, or that suffering is negative. Like, there's actually, when we lean into the compassion for the suffering, we can look at the growth and the learning and the healing that suffering is offering. And again, the more that someone can lean into that, the faster they're going to move through it. So it's not a negative perception. It's not not a negative thing, suffering. It's part of the planet. We live on a planet of duality. It's part and part of the deal. So just learn the lesson and you will transcend above the suffering. It's not a trick. It's not a punishment. Does that make sense? So when you can stop projecting the negative aspect on the suffering and just learn the lesson, and then having respect, and almost like, and I was having this conversation with a client the other day, it's like, instead of judging someone or feeling sorry for someone for the suffering that they're going through, actually be their cheer squad. Like, really, like the courage and the strength that it is requiring for someone to show up in that way, that's huge. So cheer them on. I know that sounds a bit weird, it sounds a bit wacko, but you are helping them have the resilience and the courage to continue moving through their learning. Does that make sense? So coming out, changing your perception of what suffering is so that you can, again, transcend above that, and then getting really clear on your boundaries, removing the frequencies, the programming, the coding, the contracts, all of the crap, all of the interferences that we have that embeds the savior complex and the self-sacrifice into our system, getting that removed. All of that. And that might take some time. Again, like I said before, you sort of just lean into it and saddle up. Just get on with it. Just consistently show up in that way. And what you'll notice over time is like, oh, it's gone. I don't have that thing anymore. I'm not feeling that way. Like, you're not pushing yourself, expecting, you're not having an attachment on an outcome. You are just leaning into the lesson. And so that gives you are buying yourself time and space, compassion, mercy to just lean into the lesson without focusing on an outcome. Does that make sense?
Oh, thank you. Yes, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm ready to release it. I just, I'm
It's the
overwhelmed
how.
by the pain and by all the hardships. It's just almost killed me.
And this is where the interferences can make it very difficult to move through the lesson. And that's the purpose of them. Like, they are, and actually it's not just external interferences. We can interfere, we can have higher aspects of ourself. This has happened to me many times, and boy, did I crack the poos when it happened, because I realized that a higher aspect of me was bringing in what I just cleared. I'm like, are you kidding? What? Why? The anger was real. So then I had to go on another, fishing expedition to find out what was going on. Why are we bringing this in? How am I benefiting from this? What is going on, team? We had to get on the same page. So that's internal interference. As I'm into, and higher aspect of me is committed to an old mission or an old purpose or an old lesson. And I'm like, no, we're going in a new direction now. Everybody get on board. And so we had to do the healing work and the clearing to shift all of those pieces so that the alignment happened. So, and it takes time. Like I've been doing this for a long time and I still get surprised and I still navigate stuff and I still come across things I didn't see because it unravels at a pace that we can tolerate and assimilate and move through, if that makes sense as well. So again, it's like taking the focus off this hard and fast. It has to be done now. It's like just lean into the lesson and let it sort of marinate through all levels of your being. Everything that you do is contributing to the overall healing, the overall growth. It may just not happen in the time frame that we're expecting, but then there's reasons for that. So find the reasons and what is it teaching us?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you, Tatiana. And thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that was really, really inspiring. Thank you very much. And yeah, do you feel it's the right time for the activity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm going to encourage everybody to do is think of something that they're struggling with. So it may be a person. You may be struggling with a person. You may have a go-to of when you get triggered, you get really angry. That's an addiction to an emotion. So is there an emotion that you're addicted to? It even could be sadness or depression. It's like a default system, a default setting within your system of you just go straight there. Is it your phone? Are you addicted to your phone? Is it anything? It could be anything that you know within yourself that you battle with, but it is something that you struggle to break away from. It could be, I think I mentioned a person. A person is but we've all got someone. We've all got someone that we really struggle with, or we've all got someone that we spend too much time thinking about. These are the frequencies that we're going to remove and lean into this experience. So give yourself a minute, have a think about what it is that you would like to detach, move away from, clear, release from your being. It could be, anything. It could be coffee. You may just want to kick the coffee habit. All right, so bringing your awareness to your breath, taking in a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose and feeling the belly rise as you inhale and breathing out through your mouth. And just slowing the breath right down, allowing your body to become nice and heavy, feeling any tension or tightness release as you exhale. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do that, I'm going to bring in the electric violet flame. So you can sense or feel the electric violet light in the form of a flame coming up from underneath your feet through all levels of your being. Just letting it permeate through your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual bodies, your chakras. Breathing in that electric violet light, feeling the flames permeate through your skin, your organs, all of the energy around you, becoming nice and big, strong flames. Continue breathing. Your breath is going to give these flames permission to permeate through every level of your being, through your brain, your throat, your neck, your spine, your nervous system. Now I want you to think of your thing, whatever it is that you're wanting to let go of. It might be a vice, it might be a person, it might be an addiction, whatever it is, just let it come forward. Give it permission to be there in full strength. Allowing yourself to feel the intensity of this energy, Feel the intensity of the attachment or the connection. Without judgment, without right or wrong, just letting it come forward. Now, internally within yourself, I want you to rate what the intensity is. If 10 is really strong and 1 is not very strong at all. So when you feel into the energy of this thing that you are struggling with, grappling with, fighting within yourself, how would you rate it out of 10? The intensity within your system, within your being. I'm going to ramp up the flame even more, brighter, 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 more intense, more intense, more intense. Now, when you're ready, I want you can silently repeat, or you can say it out loud if you want to. I am the soul. I am the soul. Feel the command as you say that. I am the soul. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the emotions. I am the soul. I am a being of divinity. I am the soul. As you command that, really feel the presence of your soul coming forward. I am the soul, regardless of the mind's ability to recognize this truth. I am the soul. I command all thought forms, elementals, entities, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, all contracts, oaths, vows, agreements, cords, attachments, addictions to, and state your person, device, thing, disintegrate into the electric violet light now, completely. Brighter, 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 more intense, more intense, more intense. Okay, now taking a moment to focus on the feeling, the intensity of that person, thing, vice, addiction. Just taking a moment to feel how intense it is. Rated out of 10 now. Now, when you're ready, I want you to visualize a whiteboard in front of you. In your mind's eye, visualizing a whiteboard, a nice big whiteboard. And in your hand is an electric violet rubber, an eraser. Now, when you're ready, I want you to project onto the whiteboard. It may just be the word of the thing. It may be a visual representation. You may want to scream at the board. All of the energy that you're holding around this vice, this person, this emotion, whatever it is you're wanting to release, let it purge onto the board now. Now, when you're ready, I want you to use your electric violet light eraser and start rubbing the board, rubbing it off. This electric violet light is erasing all of that energy until it's completely gone and the whiteboard is clear. Now, when you're ready, I want you to do that again. Project all of your energy, visualize it, sense it, see it. It may just be a word, or you may want to project the image onto the whiteboard without holding back, full force. Now, when you're ready with your electric violet eraser, write the board down again. Keep wiping it down until it's all gone. Now, when you're ready, I want you to do it again, projecting as much as you can onto the whiteboard, any remaining energy, intensity, frequencies of whatever it is you're wanting to release. And just notice if there's a difference. Is it as intense? Does it feel fainter? Is it lighter? And then when you're ready with your electric violet eraser, rubbing down the whiteboard again, erasing all trace, all energy of that projection. Now, when you're ready, I want you to, again, have an awareness. Feel into the intensity within you now. What is the intensity rated out of 10? How is it presenting within you? Now, when you're ready, I want you to visualize, have a visual representation in front of you, whether it's a person, an emotion, a thing, a vice, whatever it is you're wanting to let go of, have it in front of you. Bringing your awareness into your heart now. And I want you to feel into the gratitude of how this thing, person, being, whatever it is, has served you. Gratitude for the growth, the learning, being the mirror, being the bad guy in your story, being the thing for you to come up against in order for you to learn more about yourself. Feeling into the gratitude. Now, if you can at this point, you can reach for forgiveness. Forgiving the way this thing, person, being, whatever it is, it can be an object, forgiving the way it has shown up. And you may need to move between forgiveness and gratitude. If you can't do the forgiveness, just stay with the gratitude for the learning that has been offered to you through this exchange. Thank you. Through you, I have learned more about myself, but I no longer wish for this connection. I release you. I release you. I release you. Now you can repeat clear. I'm going to ramp up the opalescent and electric violet flame. Feeling with your breath now, allow your breath to have this flame permeate through you and the thing in front of you as you repeat clear, clear, clear. Now, when you're ready, it may have completely cleared and that energy may be completely eradicated. There may be remnants of that energy. Again, just feeling into the intensity of your attachment to what you've been clearing. And now out of 10, rate it again. What is the intensity? How is it presenting within your system now? The intensity within you. Just taking a few long, slow, deep breaths, bringing your awareness behind your eyes. And when you're ready, coming back to the group. And so when you're ready, it would be really interesting to see if anyone is comfortable sharing the shift or the change from the beginning of that activity to the end.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah.
How did you find it?
Yeah, it was powerful. For me, the intensity started with 7,
Mm-hmm.
and with the violet flame in the end, like the feeling of peacefulness started to emerge until it reached like 1 of
Oh,
the
amazing. Well
intensity.
done.
So that was that was nice. Thank you very much. And everyone, we'd love to hear your feedback. You can either type it on the chat box on Zoom or YouTube, or you can raise your hand if you want to share it verbally. And
Just giving everyone a little bit of time to sort of come to, yeah, Tatiana said the intensity went down to a 3, from a 10 to a 3. Well done. So that's something you can actually do every day. If there is something that you are specifically wanting to work on, this is the consistency. It's like, it's not just a one and done thing. It's a every day you can build it into your morning. Your morning is like, I'm going to, if you've got someone in your life that's really triggering, maybe again, it's a person at work, and you can repeat that process every day. It will continue to reduce the intensity within your system so that you can lean into the lesson or what's being offered through that exchange, so that you're not getting as triggered, but you're actually showing up and learning the lesson and doing the work more effectively without that strong emotional response or without that strong addiction having hold over the way you're showing up.
yeah, beautiful. Mikove, she said the intensity started with 10 and now is 2.
Well done.
Heather felt very emotional and lighter now.
Beautiful. Well done.
And Alan on YouTube, it was a very good clearing exercise. I really liked the whiteboard part. I'll use it in the future too. The energy went from 11 to 1. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. Well done. That's really cool. 11 to 1. Wow.
Donna, I was at 8 and I went to 1, and mine was my phone, and I wanted to get off it.
Yeah. Nice one. Well done. Yes, I like the whiteboard. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
beautiful.
it's actually a really simple technique, but it's like all of those you can use individually or you can put them together. It just keeps thinning it out and thinning it out and thinning it out. So
Yeah.
Michelle Harmony went from 7 and moved to a 1. Yeah, they're big shifts. They're like everyone's having a big shift. Like that's not a little thing. So well done. Well done to everyone for really leaning into the activity and giving it all you've got. And when we do that consistently, we actually get faster shifts. Again, I know I'm saying it's not about the speed, but it actually starts to move through faster when we really lean into the healing piece. So going back to the original concept of the podcast, it's the healing piece that will help you make sustained change. So with a lot of clients, I'll explain, I can do a clearing and I can remove those frequencies, but I can't make you walk through the door. I can't make you create change in your life. I can't force you how to show up in your own life. That's on your end. That's your responsibility. I can help you create space to make different choices, but what those choices are, that's all on you. So, yeah, much lighter. Stephen says 10 went down to 5, 3, different issue. Yeah, cool. Amazing. Well done, everybody. Well done.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And yeah, also now I would love if we can take some time to talk about the program you are offering. We have you're offering one-on-one session. It's 90 minutes, and there is a subliminal meditation, and then also a chakra group series, which is live plus replays. And I invite everyone to visit the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, SARAH. And also you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page, and the link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes. So yeah, so I would love if you can tell us about these packages.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'm doing the 90-minute session for package 1 at the moment, just to give people more time, more space, where we can cover more content. And the clearing piece actually doesn't take that long, but it's the mentoring and when I say mentoring, that's the support that you get leaning through the healing process and actually leaning into doing the shadow work. And there is literally, anything that anyone's wanting help with in shifting, moving, understanding. There's always a lot of channeling that happens, or it's all channeled really. All sessions are channeled with how to show up, what you need. It's great for looking at blind spots when we're stuck or in a repetitive situation and we don't know why. Looking at the bigger picture, getting high guidance. And yeah, that's one of the things I actually get a lot of feedback on, is finding blind spots and then having fresh material to work on. They go away from the session with plenty to keep moving through. And I think the other thing too is like one session can actually offer a lot. I've got many clients who will do repeat sessions over, however many times. So usually it's sort of every 3 months they'll have a session, but that's intensive working unless you're in a real spot of bother, and then it might be more regular. But I know even for me, it's like when you're working through some stuff and you're just sort of coasting along, you're very active in your own clearing and healing. It might be, once every 6 to 8 months, you need a session. So the sessions are there for you to take advantage of, particularly if it's your first time of working with me. I wanted to offer the extended session just to give you more time. The chakra series, I'm super excited about. I've been wanting to do this for ages. We had actually, the first live session was yesterday, so that you would get the replay for. But for everybody else, if you wanted to jump onto it now, the next session is actually the beginning of next week. So we're moving through a clearing each week on each of the major chakras. So yesterday was the crown chakra. So we're starting at the top, which I thought was really interesting that's where we started. I share a little bit about that in the recording. So we're starting from the crown and working through to the base, but the clearing yesterday was profound. It was even more than I was expecting, and it was just beautiful and stunning. So next week we work on the ajna, which is the third eye, but actually that's going to incorporate the ajna third eye plus the forehead plus the back head, and a couple of other things. But 3 major chakras are going to get hit up in next week's clearing. And then we work through each. So we've got the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the base as well. So that's a 7-week series. If you come across this podcast and we're already into week 3, you would just get the previous week's recordings and then you would participate in the rest of the lives, or you might just come across it and get all of the 7 recordings. That's perfectly fine as well, and they are just as powerful in the replay. I was lucky enough, actually last week I was at a meditation retreat in Hawaii. I was very, very blessed to be there, but I actually had a healing from a clearing that was done, I think, 15 years ago. And I was watching the replay from 15 years ago, and the clearing was profound. And it just was very validating that this work really does transcend time and space. So once it's almost like once that construct of healing is created, it's there. Every time you watch the recording, you go back to what I call a healing temple or a healing chamber, to receive that transmission. So they are just as powerful in the replay as they are live, but we would of course love to have you there live. So there's that as well. And we'll be doing the free gift in the link. Is that?
Yes, as well. I will share I don't know if it will be clear because there is the link. It's long one. Let me paste it. Yeah. So there's a link and password on the chat box.
Yes,
and also it's on the live event page. If you don't find it there, you can refresh the page and you will find it. And also it's on YouTube video description and later on the replay page.
Amazing. So that is a free masterclass promoting the Rising Intuitive. So it's actually a 3.5-hour class all about energy clearing and healing and intuitive development. And it's incorporating those.
Sarah, you are muted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I just got cut off. Yes, it's the whole masterclass and actually the course. It's an 8-week course, and that incorporates all of the healing and the clearing techniques to activate, clear, open, and really utilize our intuitive faculties and just, what we did today. Like it incorporates that. It's not just for intuitive development. You can use it every day. So it's a jam-packed 3.5-hour masterclass. I hope you enjoy. My gift to you. And it's just a bit of a taste test of what's in the course. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. And yeah, so for our audience on YouTube, I couldn't paste the password. It didn't accept it on the chat, but it is on the description of the video. You can find it there. And yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, for both the gifts and the program. Yeah, it's always joy and feel really honored to share your work. I really love what you do, and I really trust the work you are doing. So really happy to share that here on the show with our audience. So thank you very much for being available, for adding more time to the one-on-one session and offering the live series and the intuitive masterclass gift. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for participating today. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, everyone, again, you can find the links for both the free gifts and the special offer on the chat boxes or the YouTube video description. And also there is the links and the buttons on the live event page and the replay page. And yeah, so the link for the gifts, the special offer is yourdivineuniqueness.com/Sarah, SARAH. And yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for being here with us today. Thank you for the questions, for the comments, for your energies, whether being present with us on the live call or on the replay. And yeah, so I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye for now.